What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. Let's go over to we talked about enough of WWE. I don't think we're forgetting necessarily anything. I just go through some quotes here. I know that there's the news that Vince McMahon with the whole was the investigation is come to an end, and the grand total of money that he has paid off these women is $19.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
some people don't make that in a lifetime.
Bro, tell me about it. And I was just like, whew, well. But let's go over to AEW Dynamite. So we didn't do a Wednesday night review because, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, things I was busy and struggling with, so we wasn't able to get to that review. But I definitely want to give a quick recap on AEW now. I say recap because so
Dynamite? Said Dynamite?
Yeah, well, yeah, so one of the worst was, I mean, we had Samoa Joe, Brian Cage, Chris Jericho going against a former champion, Orange Cassidy and Ray Phoenix. They had the good match. The worst segment between, or match, whatever you can call it, between Jade Cargill and Marina Shafir, and the daddy ass birthday thing in Darby Allin and Jay Lethal, and of course we had a new recruit to AEW. So look, we ain't gonna break this down match by match, but in the beginning, they had Darby and Jay Lethal have a matchup where Jay Lethal actually won, and well, it was a funny thing. There was a spot that happened where Darby's on. I mean, was it Satin Singh's on the outside, and Jay Lethal runs from Darby, and Darby was like, "Oh, you gonna stand in my way?" Because he's hiding behind Satin Singh. He goes and runs and dives inside the ropes, and he just bounces off Satin Singh's chest. He no souls the shit out this dive. It's hilarious. You got to go back and watch that. Like, this man's just like a steel wall right there in front of Darby. He goes outside, launches himself, he just gets crashed and burned. I think it's hilarious. What happened? So after Jay Lethal wins the matchup, it looks like, well, it doesn't like Sting. There's somebody dressed up in a Sting outfit with the coat. And they come in, they screw Darby Allin. That's how James gets the ring. When they take when after the match, this fake Sting gets into the ring. And when they unmasked Sting, this imposter Sting. It was Cole Carter from the Factory. When I say the crowd went nothing, it went nothing. I don't know who was there in attendance, but on TV, when they put it on, everybody was like, "Who the fuck is this?" Because who pays attention to the Factory? Do you know about Cole Carter?
I know who he is, but I like, okay.
I'm like, who? And nobody cheered, nobody booed, nobody know what the fuck to do. He's like, "What the fuck is this? What is this?" But then Sting's music really did hit. And then everybody was getting scared. So on the outside of the ring, Satin Singh, Jay Lethal, and Sanjay Dutt was waiting by the ramp for him. And then some other guy gets into the ring with a long black jacket and a cowboy hat. And he turns Darby Allin around and hits him in the head with that guitar. It's Jarrett. Jarrett is in AEW. He comes in and talks about his family was in the professional wrestling business 1946. That means over 75 years of generations that we left an impact. Oh, see what I did there? I can show you from day one. my fingerprints, my father's, my grandmother's fingerprints have all been all over AEW. And you guys should show before I'm done with this place, there's gonna be full body bags. Now you can choke on that, slap nuts. That's, first of all, Jarrett came back out to his old school TNA song, the doo 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 doo.
Oh, my real, yep, his best theme song.
And I was like, oh my God, Jeff Jarrett is actually back. It was cool. It was cool to see Jeff Jarrett back, for that moment. I was like, but when it came to the whole reveal of that Sting, I was like, that was just terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna be with them full time. I don't know if it's just like a thing that they were just doing, but I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out. As far as Jarrett, I'm cool as long as Karen isn't there. I'm cool.
Yep.
Because if Karen is there, it's gonna be another Cody and Brandy thing, and I don't want. Nobody wants that.
They had Moxley taking on Lee Moriarty. The match was okay, but of course Moxley makes Lee Moriarty tap out. They had a whole but afterwards, Ethan Page rushed to the ring and took out Moxley with a boot. So maybe they set up the next program for Ethan Page. Renee Paquette did an interview with Saraya. It was supposed to be with Saraya and Britt Baker, but Britt Baker didn't show up, so they can sit there and have like a personal conversation in the back. So, but it's time for Daddy Ash's birthday. They did, they're doing celebrating. Billy Gunn's hands are injured from the match with Swerve the previous night. But along with giving them, the celebration, like I said, I'm speeding through this. They pull out at the end that they wanted to be adopted and be Billy's actual sons. Well, of course, the actual Gun Club did come out and said they had a present for their dad, and he was jumped by the Firm. So that happened. We had Chris Jericho taking on a former Ring of Honor champion, and who came out? It was Colt Cabana. Welcome back.
There's no welcome back. I don't know whatever, man.
No, honestly, I think he was in Chicago. It was like, yeah,
they were not in Chicago.
They weren't. Where were they at?
No, I think Minnesota or so.
So okay, he did get a pop for coming back out though.
Who cares at this point? Who cares?
That's how everybody felt about Cole Carter when he took off that Sting match. Who cares?
I've been feeling like that about Colt Cabana for a long time, because not that it's just like his move. I don't know. Just I never got on the Colt Cabana train, I guess.
Yeah, that's all right.
It's all right.
So it's all right. It's all right. They had Jericho won that match. They had the All-In Championship match of Orange Cassidy versus Phoenix, and I thought they put on an all right matchup.
He got beat up, put in the parking lot.
Who got beat up in the parking lot?
Put this man in the truck. What'd you say?
Who got beat up in the parking lot?
I don't know, somebody. I'm watching on this TNA.
Oh. Well, the Orange Cassidy and Ray Phoenix had the matchup. I didn't get to see much of that matchup. Then they had this worst thing with Jade Cargill taking on, they call her the Problem, Marina Shafir. She right. She is a problem. Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero came out to do some live commentary to distract Jade. It didn't work. She had to beat Marina Shafir because they made this match very short because Marina Shafir can't go. And I'm just like,
not at all.
Why are y'all still putting her in this kind of predicament? Look, we know Jade is still green, but Jade is actually working. Marina Shafir cannot wrestle.
Nope.
She can't, and she's not Shayna, she ain't Ronda. Her and Jessamine Duke did not get any of that at all. And the whole thing with that was just terrible. That whole segment was just terrible, and I was just like, oh my god, what are we doing to this, division? To be honest with you, Samoa Joe took on Brian Cage, and that was the main event. Listen, AEW has some issues right now. What do you like? That was one of the worst Dynamites that they ever did. And usually the Dynamite's not really that bad. We said that about Raw all the time. And Smackdown until Triple H took over with it. It tried to make it a little bit better. But AEW is in some problems right now. What do you think they need to do to fix some things? I mean, I have a couple things that I think Tony Khan needs to really get on. But you personally, as a fan also that has watched it, what are some of the things you think?
I think they need like a different booker. Like, other than just Tony, I think Tony and he needs some help booking wise. Obviously, the women need help, but like, yeah, some stuff is cool. Some stuff just goes on too long. Some stuff is just like match. What do you call them? Matchups. Just matchups in general need to be changed. Like, I feel like we see Ray Phoenix and Orange Cassidy like often, sort of. Even if we haven't, I just feel like that's just something that we've seen. So just stuff like that, like just trying to keep up with different stuff. Still give people the opportunities.
One of the problems that I see with AEW, and how it could be, falling so low. Number one, they got to get rid of Ring of Honor. They have to get rid of that, because when I say
give it its own show,
yeah, that's what I mean. When I say get rid of Ring of Honor, I mean get it its own show, get it its own identity, so it can stop stealing all of the AEW homegrown talent stuff that they have. Because the truth is, they need, the truth is like they need help in certain departments, like the women's division. First of all, how Tony Storm is not being featured on a big show, like on a show period. And I mean, look, I love Jay, and Jay's a champion. You got to promote Jay also, but it's like all his stuff is going into Jay and nobody else. And the Ring of Honor,
and the way that it's looking, Tony Storm, like she's probably gonna lose that belt. Maybe,
but it's like it's not gonna do anything. And on top of that stuff, out of all that, you still got what is it?
Thunder Rosa.
Well, I mean, yeah, you still got all this Ring of Honor. Like the Ring of Honor stuff is really oversaturating everything else. Like, you don't have no time for your women's champion. You barely have time for your tag team champions. Your world champion, the AEW champion is on in the second match of the show. Opposed, but
I wish they would do it like how Triple H used to do it. Like he had like almost two sets of rosters. He had one roster do kind of like 1 week, and then the next roster do the next week. They kind of alternate in a sense.
Yeah, they can do that, but or what they need to do is, because they don't have two shows like Raw and SmackDown, but I'm talking
about when Triple H was doing NXT, and 1 week it'd be like Balor and the tag champs, and the next week it'd be like featuring the women, like just give people more opportunities rather than try to fit everybody on the show. Like, yeah. But the thing, it's been crazy lately.
Yeah, I think we keep saying Tony can't get your house in order. I'm like, but now your wrestling show is suffering. I understand that they got a Ring of Honor pay-per-view at the end of the year in December, and they're gonna try to find some a TV or a place for them in January. But right now, everything is just suffering, over there. And I'm like,
honestly, see, I personally want to say just keep the titles off the show in general, except for your titles. But Tony Khan, we get to have the most show, title changes on our show and whatever, but like sometimes that hurts it too, because like not everybody watches and keeps up with New Japan as well to know like what the the pure championship is, or the never open weight championship. A lot of people don't really know what those are, so let up they're hardcore fans or whatever. So that can hurt it sometimes as well.
Yeah, just him not putting the effort into the women's division is bothering me.
I mean, what else is new? He's been doing it for like 3 or 4 years at this point. So
exactly, I'm just it's just I really want him to buckle down and get AEW back on track, and not having these wrestlers take control of his narrative, or tell Tony what to do. He needs to be his own man and do what's right. But right now, I was like, this whole thing sucks, and it all goes by Tony Khan's booking. It's him doing these shows. It's his kind of booking, and Ring of Honor should not.
I think when he first had AEW, he knew the direction for like 2 years, but now I think he's like going week by week.
That's a good argument to have, though, to be honest.
That's probably what it could be, because like the first 2 years, he's like, oh, I probably had all this planned. Like I planned to have Jarrett as my champion, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and if we could get him, he could do this. And then like after those 2 years went by, they kind of did everything, and he was like one of the second to WWE. Then he was kind of like, all right. And then obviously Cody left and all that kind of stuff. So now I feel like he's just more week to week than planned out months in advance or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
Could be,
Yeah, but he needs to tighten this thing up and stop ending his shows with these Ring of Honor championship matches.
Yeah, all the other championships do kind of
Ring of Honor champions. Ring of Honor champions get more love and screen time than the AEW champions do,
and the Japanese champions too.
Yeah, so there's a lot that like those two big things. You got to do better at the booking now, especially we people are not as pissed with WWE anymore, and what else did I say? They got that women's division. Yeah, so get on your shit, Tony. That's basically what I can say. Just to get on your shit.